Hello again and welcome back for Stitchmas part 3. As you can hear, my voice has still a little bit an element of Kermit to it. It is getting better, and also as you can see, unfortunately it's another dreary day in Hertfordshire, so I hope that the sun is shining where you are. Or if not, I hope that you are nice and cosy with a couple of candles and a nice warm drink for our third instalment of Happy Stitchmas. I'm going to start off with this floral little kind of branch coming out here, and it is going to be another fly stitch like we did here, using the dark green is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to remind you of how we did that fly stitch, starting at one end and making a running stitch, just a simple stitch. And then we've got these little, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We've got these little V shapes. So I'm going to come up the one side of the V. I'm going to go down the end of the other V. But before I put it all the way through, I'm going to come down at the base of that V, so that when I pull my needle through, I have formed a little fly stitch. So this is very similar to what we did up here, except that because the branch is longer and curvier, we can't always just do one straight stitch across here, because the curve may not, it might end up with a series of zigzags. So for example, for this one, I'm actually going to do 2 stitches. So that one's anchored the one above. And then I'm going to do a back stitch to fill in that gap. And now I'm going to do my fly stitch. So come up one side of the V, down the other side of the V, oops, and up at the bottom. Now the reason I did that in 2 stitches is because there was quite a bit of a curve there. For this next one, I can just do 1 stitch. I'll probably do 2 there, probably 1 slightly longer one there and there and there. And then as we get to this bit and we're starting to curve round, I have to see how the thread kind of lies to see whether we need to put 2 stitches in there. And what I did was I did a running stitch, and then I came up at the next V and did a back stitch to meet it. So for this next one, I'm just going to do 1 stitch and then my fly stitch. So if you are doing these videos on the day that they are released, you should be getting a bit closer to Christmas. I hope your preparations are going well. I'm completely unprepared because this horrible cough and cold has taken over the entire house. So everything that I planned to do last week ended up being called off because I just felt so dreadful. But hey ho, it all works itself out in the end. Okay. And if, as part of your preparations, you realise you don't have enough time to, oh dear, I've just noticed that I've just stitched through my fabric at the back. Let's just undo that bit. I thought it felt a bit odd. I'm just going to undo those stitches, get rid of that. Rethread my needle, which is always the trickiest bit, especially when I'm on camera. It seems to take me much longer than it normally would. What I was going to say was that if your preparations are perhaps going as well as mine are, and you find that you don't have as much time to stitch as you hoped, there's no reason why you can't carry this on after Christmas. Just because it's Stitchmas 2023 doesn't mean that it has to be completed. Oh, what is good? Oh, I've done it again. Oh, dearie me. Right, need to keep that bit out of the way. Doesn't mean that it needs to be completed in 2023. You don't need that pressure on yourself to get things finished if you've got other priorities. Obviously, if you want to get it done, then I can understand it's frustrating when you've got other jobs to do and you just think, I just want to get my stitching done. Okay, so I think this one should be all right as one stitch. Obviously, if you try to do one stitch and it's not lying particularly where you want it to, you can just undo it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't match up exactly with the guideline, because we know that that's going to be soaked away. Pulled that a bit too quickly, I think. It wasn't happy with me. So I'm getting to the bit where it's starting to bend a bit more. One way that you can check is if I lie my stitch down. Yeah, that looks okay. So I think that should work as one stitch. Okay, try that again. If I go straight to there, will it lie flat? Yeah, I think the rest of them should be okay actually. So maybe it was just at that top end where it kind of curved upward that we needed to be a bit more careful. Okay, and now I've got to the end here, it's slightly longer. I'm going to do one straight stitch, and then from that centre, I'm going to do a back stitch. So if I did one long stitch there, it wouldn't do that curve great. And then you just repeat the same on the other side. I finished doing both of my fly stitch garlands, and I have done the next one to show you what it's going to look like, and then we'll do this one together. So I have used the darker green and the mid green for this. You could do it all in one colour, you could mix them up. For example, I've used the dark green for the branch as well as the bits coming off and the detail on the petals. You may want to use one green for all of it, or you may want to use 3 greens, completely up to you. So I'm going to start off by doing the branch, and I'm going to do a back stitch all the way along. So I'm going to start at this end over here. And just simple, oops, I got off the screen again, back stitch all the way along this branch. because I'm using the same colour for the inside of my detached chain stitch and these branches, I'm not going to change my thread. I'm just going to go back up by doing the other stitches, and I'm just doing these as long straight stitches. You could choose to do these ones that are sticking out the side I'm going to do as straight stitches as well. You could choose to do these after you've done your chain stitch if you wanted to, or you can, especially if you're using a different colour, but because I'm using the same colour, I'm just going to do it beforehand. And afterwards, if you would like to, you could put some French knots at the end of these. I think I'm going to do that, but I'm trying to decide, oh, I've missed those ones out. I'm trying to decide which colour I want to do the French knots, so I might leave it until I've done a bit more and then come back to it. I don't know whether I might do different colours, almost like baubles, or will that look weird because they're part of the tree? I'm oh, I keep on going off the screen, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure, but yeah, so just on these ones in between the leaves, good place to put a French knot. Right, and then once we've done all of those bits, we're going to do the detached chain stitch for the petals. Finish my thread off. So as I said, I'm using the mid queen for these petals. I'm using 3 strands of the thread. I'm going to start from the middle and do my pairs of chain stitch, working all the way to the end, getting smaller as they go. Now, it's really difficult to predict what a chain stitch is going to look like. So it is very likely that your chain stitches are not going to sit on top of the guidelines underneath. That's absolutely fine. Mine don't here. But what you are going for is a wide open chain. So I've come up from the middle. I'm going back down into the middle. Put my needle, easier said than done, put my needle at the top there. Make sure that loop is over the top of it. I'm going to put it through, and I'm going to put it really gently because I want a nice big leaf. So I'm going to use my finger and my needle to just spread that out as wide as I can. And then I'm going to hold it flat on the fabric as I pull that really gently and secure it so that that doesn't pull it either. And I'm going to repeat the same. These ones in the middle are kind of the biggest, widest ones. Put it down again. Really gently pulling it through, creating that loop shape, holding it down with my thumb, and then securing it in position like that. And that's what you want to do with all of them. They're not going to sit exactly where the drawing is, but you just want to make sure that it looks nice and wide. I think this just goes to show you in this Stitchmas design the versatility of just a few stitches the different effects that you can get just with one stitch. So for example, we did the mistletoe up here with a detached chain stitch. We've done these bows as well, and we're going to do these, and some of these ribbons will also be detached chain stitch. So it's a really versatile stitch. Basically, if you know how to backstitch, chain stitch, fly stitch, satin stitch, you can and a French knot, you can pretty much do anything that you want to with embroidery. And that's why I want you to have a think about how you want your ornaments to look, because once we've done this garland, we're going to go on to this branch of ornaments, and there are so many different choices and ways that you can do it, and it's totally personal choice of what you want the finished thing to look like, as well as what kind of stitches you enjoy making. So for example, you could do a lot of satin stitch again, so you get this full kind of look. So that would look really cute for the gingerbread man and the stocking, the Christmas pudding. And show you how we can use the whipped running stitch to make a nice candy cane effect, which you may remember if we did Stitchmas with me last year, we did that then as well. But there's other options. So for example, with this stocking, you could do parts of it satin stitch and parts of it just the outline. I love this combination of the two different greens. I think it looks quite effective, having the two different colours rather than just sticking to the one. And you notice that I'm not pulling my chain stitch too firmly, and it's leaving it a bit more 3D coming off the fabric and not just lying flat. Oops, I just pushed that with my needle. These are the stitches that you're going to have to keep an eye on when we soak off the stick and stitch, to make sure that they... what did I just do there? Oh, I accidentally pulled that bit. Right. So I have to gently pull that chain back up again and lie it in place. There we go. I'm getting to the end of my thread and I just pulled something from the back accidentally. There we go. Just got two more to do. I think I can do it with the thread that I've got left, but I am playing a bit of thread chicken. Can I do it? That one definitely needs to be a bit wider. And the last one. Just realised I rotate my hoop quite a lot. I hope that's not making you feel a bit dizzy if you're watching. Okay. Really careful that my end doesn't come out because I've not got much thread left. And that's the last one. Just keep that down. So as I said, you can go back and put French knots on these bits, but I'm going to have a think about what colour I want to use before I do that. And instead we're going to go back to the ornaments. I'm going to do the candy cane first with a whipped running stitch. Now the two different colours you use could be totally up to you, but this Christmas I've really got into the combination of pink and red. And I have a pink and red candy cane of my own tree, so I think I'm going to go for pink and red. You could use 2 different greens, 2 different blues. Traditional is red and white. You could use any colour with an accent of gold if you wanted. Completely up to you. I've threaded up 2 needles, one with the red and one with the pink, just to make it quicker for me to show you. And I'm going to start with the red, and I'm just going to do a running stitch around the shape of that candy cane. It's quite a small shape and it's curved, so I'm going to keep the stitches quite small. Fit one more on the end there. Okay, and then we can finish off that colour. Now with my pink thread, I'm going to weave the other colour. I'm going to start at the bottom here. I'm going to bring my pink up the very end of that stitch. Remember, when you're doing whipped like we did up here with the running stitch, you have to go from the same direction. So I'm going to go, oh, and to turn around to use your eye of your needle makes it much easier so it doesn't get caught. Sometimes I'm passing my needle underneath the soluble fabric. It gets caught on that, but that doesn't matter, it will soak away. Right. Where am I going now? Oh, there. Problem with doing your eye of needle at that end is that you're poking the pin end, which is a bit painful at times. And here we go. Oh, you can see it's gone through the soluble fabric there. Can you see? That's not what it's supposed to do, but if you just kind of tug it, it will come loose because the fabric's full of holes. You can just tug it gently and it will come away. And there we have got striped candy cane, and I'm just going to poke my needle back at the end there and finish off secure at the back. I think that looks rather cute. I'm going to do my stocking next, which I've decided to use some of the blues for. So I'm going to do a mixture of satin stitch and back stitch for this one. My idea for the stocking is to do the lighter colour for the top of the toe and the heel in a satin stitch, and then to do the rest of the outline with the darker colour as a back stitch. So I'm going to start with the top of the stocking. I'm going to do a satin stitch. So I want to get that nice kind of 3D look of the kind of woolly top that you usually get on a stocking. An alternative you could do here is you could do chain stitches, but instead of in a chain you could do detached ones lying next to each other to give the impression of kind of knitting. That would also look good. my satin stitch, just gently pulling it so that it doesn't lie completely flat and horizontal. Remember again, it doesn't matter if it doesn't stay within the lines. Don't worry about going over the lines, because those lines will disappear. Definitely nice slow stitching, giving your mind the chance to wander off and think about other things. Or if you don't want to think about other things, I recommend listening to an audiobook whilst you are sewing. Any recommendations of good audiobooks, I'm always looking out for. Okay, so just finishing off here. Use the end of my needle to make sure it's all lying as I want. And then I'm going to do this bit and this bit as well. So turn around. You could do all of this stocking in satin stitch. You could decide to do a bit like the robins. You could do the heel and the toe different colours. You could do this central bit of the sock in satin stitch as well. Or you could just do the outline of the heel and the toe and the top as well, without filling it in. My original plan was just to do the outline of all of the ornaments, but then I thought, quite like the idea of a little bit of satin stitch on there. Now this one, I'm going from the sides into the middle to give a slightly different effect. So rather than keeping the stitches straight, just making that all the stitches go to that central point. So the ones on the edges will be diagonal rather than straight. So you see what I mean? Instead of going that way, I'm going to go that way. Just give the impression of the stitches curling round. Like that. There we go, so it's all coming to the point at the toe. Now I'm going to swap to the darker colour to do the outline. I don't think I will go round the satin stitch bits. I think I will just do some small stitches between, so just 2 there. And I'm going to come up at the bottom here. We fit in 2 there as well. 1, 2, and then 2 here as well. Ooh, maybe even 3. Keeping those stitches nice and small. Oh, another idea you could do is to do stripes going across. You could do stripes going across the sock. That would look quite good, a little stocking. Now that I've done that, I'm not sure I like it. I don't think it looks as effective as I was hoping. I'm going to have a rethink about that. I've got to try and imagine it without the outlines. I'm not sure it looks obviously like a sock or a stocking. I'm going to think about that one while I move on to my pudding. I have unpicked the back stitch that I did on this stocking because I'm not happy with how it looked, and I'm going to have a rethink about that. In the meantime, I have done some satin stitch on my Christmas pudding. So I used the darker of the browns and the white to do the icing on the top. And what I'm going to do now, with just one thread, just one strand of black thread, I'm going to do some French knots to represent the kind of raisins in the Christmas pudding. However, because of all that satin stitch, it's quite tricky to get through at the back. Try that again. I did do 3 wraps, maybe that was too big. Oh, there we go. So that's 2 wraps around the needle for the French knot there, and goodness me, that was a bit tricky to pull through. There we go. So I'm just going to dot a few random black raisins, and then I think I am going to do a nice big cherry on the top as well. Oh, maybe the chenille needle may be a bit thick, the head of it, to get through. Maybe it'd be easier if I swapped to the other embroidery needle. Just a bit thinner, that might make all the difference. Okay. Oops. 1, 2. It's also a bit longer, which gives me more to pull on at the back. There we go. There we go. And remember to just use your needle to make sure that it doesn't disappear too much underneath the satin stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to do a red cherry. I'll do it with 3 strands because I want a nice big cherry on the top, otherwise what's the point? So I'm going to do 3 strands of embroidery thread for this one, and I'm going to wrap it around 3 times as well. One, 2, 3. Nice big cherry on the top. Well, that's very nice and cheerful. I like that. So with my gingerbread man, I am going to do satin stitch with the lighter of the brown that we have, this lighter colour. So I'm going to go ahead and do my satin stitch. You may want to just do the outline, and then I'm going to use French knots for the eyes and the buttons, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the mouth. I'm going to show you how I am satin stitching my gingerbread man. I've done half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one stitch down from his head to the middle of his legs. And then, so you can see I've now got 2 stitches that go long ways because I did one for that half and now this is this half. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish his head. So I'm just going to do, oh, completely off the, I'm so sorry. Just going to do his head now. So I'm going to just do stitches to kind of where his neck is. It's not going to be the neatest because I'm finding it difficult to do my stitching and to keep it on camera. I'm having to kind of do it at a side angle. There we go. So I did one stitch down the middle and then I went to one stitch down the middle and then I went to one side. And then I'm going to do these stitches just from his shoulders down to his legs. And I'm just mirroring what I did on that side to try and keep it looking neat. But I have to say it's really tricky to do neat stitching and keep it on camera. So that's why I did half first. So I'm trying to create this, oh, I've done it again. This little patch of stitching, I'm trying to recreate that on the other side so it's symmetrical, if that makes sense. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and do his arm. I've got a thread at the back which keeps on coming through. It'd be better if I just chop that off. Trying to get those stitches to lie nice and flat, not pull them too tight. Oh, that last one was dreadful. There's another needle. Let's sort that out a bit. It's really tricky doing this on the camera and in this light. But I'm just trying to show you how I've split up the shape. So I did the middle bit a couple of times and then I did the head. And then I went from the shoulders down to the bottom and then I did the arm. And now I'm going to do the leg. You can split it up in a different way. You could just do all of the head and then you could go across and do the arms and then do the legs going up. It's up to you. So now I'm on to his legs. Oh dear. I've stitched through my fabric again. Oh, that's an easy one because it's just the edge. Just cut that bit off there. Try that again. No, a needle came off my thread. Not having a very good day today. If you want to make embroidery not very fun, have a cold and try to record it at the same time. It's a bit more stressful, which is not what it's supposed to be at all. There we go. Oh, and I'm off again. Maybe I should ask Father Christmas for some better recording equipment and make this easier. Okay, and you get the idea. Just carry on and do the rest of the gingerbread man. I have to say, I'm not that impressed with my effort there. Sure you can do better. But I am going to put on some buttons and a smile, and so hopefully people won't notice how kind of uneven and wonky my stitches are. But there we go. So I'm going to use the thinner needle again, just because I struggled with my French knots on the Christmas pudding and I don't want to do the same again. I'm going to use the black thread, and I'm going to use one strand of the cotton to do his eyes. And then I'm going to use a fly stitch to do his little smile. Okay, oh, I've just threaded up completely the wrong needle, having said I was going to do the thinner one. Okay, so much easier when it's only one thread to thread your needle. So I'm going to come up and make sure that I spread his eyes out nicely. I think I'll do 1, 2, yeah, 2 wraps is fine for me. Poke that through and pull gently. Sorry, pull gently. There we go. We've got one eye, and then do another one on this side. One, two. Make sure you're happy with the position. You can move your needle around, make sure the knot is lying exactly where you want it before you push it through. There we go. I'm pleased with those little eyes. Make sure that you can see them. And now I'm going to do my fly stitch. So if you remember with this one, we have the V shape, and it is very much a V. We're going to try and get more of a curve line for the mouth. It is tricky because you're doing it on top of a satin stitch and you're doing it in such a small space. So I'm going to come up on one side, and I'm going to go down the other side of where I want the end of the smile to be. And pull. And then before it comes all the way through, yeah, see, I'm not happy with where I've decided that smile's going to end. So I'm going to pull that out again, try that again. It needs to be a bit wider. Maybe I should have done the smile before the eyes to make sure I had enough room to fit it all in. And then put my smile there. Oh, got a very long tail, so there we go. Pulling it gently through until you have got a loop. Now you want this loop to be your little smile. Now, you could just do a straight stitch like that. What I'm hoping to do is to pull that down a little bit so it looks more like a smile. And then a bit like we did with the fly stitch, just going to put an anchor stitch. I'm going to use this bit to pull it down into that smile shape and put another stitch the other side. And that should hopefully secure it in a little tiny smile. There we go, like that. I think that little smile makes up for my dodgy stitching, satin stitch. And now you could do 2 French knots in the black for his buttons, but I think he definitely needs to have coloured buttons. Don't want currants for his buttons. I'm going to do something a bit brighter. I'm probably going to do blue because I haven't used much blue. And I think I will go for, oops, that's the gold. I think I'll go for the mid blue. Again, I'm just going to use one strand for this again. And the thinner needle. You could do buttons the same colour, you can do buttons 2 different colours if you want to. I'm going to wrap it around 3 times so it's a bit bigger, it stands out more. Remember, don't pull too tightly, otherwise it will disappear under that satin stitch. Do one more underneath. Three wraps round. And through. There he's got his 2 little chocolate buttons, little smarties, I think. So now I've just got to think about how I'm going to do that stocking, because in my head, satin stitch and back stitch was going to look amazing. But this is just an example of, it's okay to try things and then they all go wrong, because it's only stitching and you can unpick it. So I'm really happy with my candy cane and my gingerbread man and my pudding. Really pleased with those. Sorry, the whole thing's decided to shake. But my Christmas stocking, not so much. I think I could either do stripes of satin stitch, or I'm going to try the outline again, but this time I'm going to try a darker colour. I might go for the darker blue and a different choice of stitch. So I want something, the problem with it, or maybe it was the thickness of it as well. There might have been a bit of a combination of factors. So I'm going to go for a darker colour, if I can get it off my selection of threads here. Go for a darker colour. Yeah, I think so. And I'm just going to go with 2 strands of thread. 2 strands of thread, and I may choose, instead of a back stitch, I may have a go at a stem stitch. So we use the stem stitch for this branch across here. It's got a nice thick solid look to it, and it might work a bit better. Again, if it doesn't, I'll just try something else. So I'm going to keep my stitches nice and, ooh, actually, do you know what? Just a straight stitch there, I think will do the job. Yes, just a simple straight stitch. What I might do is, I'm going to try to do, I may regret this, let's try and do some stripes. And the stripes would kind of go at a bit of an angle when they got to the heel. Maybe. Oh, no, that last one definitely didn't lie properly. Do I need a last one? Maybe up like that. Maybe just leave it like that. quite like the look of the stripes, but it's just deciding whether I want the stripes all the way down. I think just leave it as it is there. Let me unpick that last bit. Stripes going. Maybe if I spread them out a bit more. This is a problem when the possibilities are endless. It can be tricky making decisions. So the whole idea was that I would have the decisions decided for you, so you wouldn't have to do this. But the best laid plans, as they say. And I think that looks like it's unfinished. I just do one bit further down between there and there, rather than try to fit in two. Yes, I'm happy with that. So I'm happy with all of my little ornaments now, and the last thing I'm going to do today is this date. You don't have to do the date if you would prefer to write a word or something there instead, but I like to keep an idea of when I made this. So I'm just going to do a whipped running stitch. Because it's so small, I'm using one strand of the, sorry, I said whipped running stitch, I'm doing a back stitch. Back stitch. I'm doing really small stitches because it is so small and curvy, and I'm just using one thread of the back and making sure I'm using my needle as I go to position the threads where I want them to be. Really small stitches when you are doing curves, so you've got a bit more control over the finished look. So that's it for this week. The next instalment of Happy Stitchmas will be released on Wednesday the 20th of December, and we will be doing the star and the presents. I will also then be showing you how you can soak away the soluble stick and stitch and how you can hoop up your project ready for display. So I hope you've enjoyed another week of Happy Stitchmas. I apologise again for my voice in the video. Maybe next year I'll be really organised and record in July, so, or August, so at least you can see what I'm doing. I think it might be quite difficult to get into the festive spirit then though. Maybe we should just do a summer sew-along instead. Or as well, let me know what you think. Would you like to do more sew-alongs? I hope so, they're good fun, aren't they? Okay, so I'm just going to stop waffling now. I'm going to carry on stitching. I'm going to put some festive music on. You can carry on and stitch with me along to the festive music, or you can turn me off. I've got nothing else important to say apart from thank you for joining me for Happy Stitchmas. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.